Cisco is not here, so let's take advantage of this moment and talk about battle rifles. What's going on, boomers and zoomers? On today's episode, we're going to be talking about a weapons platform or weapons class that I like a lot. The second only to the LMG. It's going to be the battle rifle. Now, there is a bit of a blurred line between the DMR and a battle rifle. In my personal opinion, though, a battle rifle differs itself from a DMR in the way that it's played. Now, DMRs traditionally are going to be using a larger caliber magazine. Obviously, they're based off of actual guns out there, so they're not going to be using 5.56 or 2.23. They're typically going to be something around the round of like a 7.62. Now, battle rifles are going to be very similar in that sense. However, they are going to be run very similar to a traditional M4. You're running them as a traditional rifleman. You're not really so much in a passive role like a DMR would be. You are going to be running with the boys, if you will, and that's why I love battle rifles so much. The first battle rifle I want to talk about on my list is going to be the Classic Army SA58. Now, this is going to be, in my personal opinion, one of the coolest modern battle rifle takes you can get on the airsoft market. So if you're not aware of the CA58, it is based off of the FAL OSW, which if you're not aware of that particular model, it is essentially just a modernized, updated version of the FAL with a short barrel, which in the real firearms world is technically kind of a no-no. You know, some people have said it's like firing off concussion grenades right up next to their ear, but it's airsoft. It's 6mm. We can get away with that. So some of the updates you're going to see are going to be a monolithic top rail on the upper receiver. You are getting a nice Picatinny quad rail to put whatever sort of accessories you'd like. Updated polymer pistol grip and stock on here. It just feels really, really solid. The metal construction is absolutely phenomenal. It feels really, really solid. Classic Army did a bang-up job with all the external build on this bad boy. Looking at the internals, it is going to be using a standard version 3 gearbox, which is what I love. It is going to be OEM by Classic Army, so again, this is going to be one of the longest standing airsoft brands on the airsoft market, so they definitely know how to put together a solid gearbox. And again, we all know at this point that the version 3 is going to be shooting more accurately than a version 2. It's just science, don't argue at me, right? But I do love the construction of the internal gearbox as is. What I would recommend for this, because it is a battle rifle, throw in a Unicorn Airsoft inner barrel, bucking, and hop-up nub, and you should be set. Maybe even some more internal upgrade components for the gearbox. Maybe work on that compression a little bit, and this thing will be shooting like a dream. However, this rifle is not perfect, and I got two major gripes with this bad boy. Number one, the FPS. For some reason, Classic Army made this bad boy shoot real low, actually. We're talking 320 tops. Like, why? What was the purpose? It's a battle rifle. Maybe, you know, the whole purpose was to, you know, with the shorter barrel, it was supposed to be a CQB version, you know, bring this to your local indoor arena. You know, that's kind of based. I'd do it. But since this is a battle rifle, I would strongly recommend swapping out the spring, maybe put in like a 110 or a 120 spring in there just to bump it up a bit more. And then number two, it's got to be magazines. Classic Army is real slow on restocking mid-cap magazines for the FAL. You know, maybe they're just scared, you know, to go ahead and bring it in since it's not a traditional M4 platform, right? But hey, the last time I brought them in, they sold out pretty dang quick. We're talking within like 2 business days, so there's that. Again, I have been asking Classic Army to go ahead and restock them. Don't worry, I'm fighting the fight, guys. I'm trying to go ahead and bring these in as soon as possible. You're just gonna have to wait with me on the GI website, log in every day, and hopefully today will be the day that they restock them. Right now, the Classic Army CA58 retails on AirsoftChat.com's website for $318, and make sure to take advantage of the Wombo combo to get the best deals possible in the airsoft market. For $318, you are getting a full metal, well-built, modernized FAL. Honestly, the price is not that bad. It's not like some other airsoft manufacturers who are charging a premium for what is essentially the same build quality, LCT. So if you wanted to go with a modernized FAL, Classic Army is the way to go. For those of you that are arguing with me right now that the FAL OSW does not have the hardest vibes for a modern battle rifle, you're wrong. But another great option would actually be the G&G TR16308 Mark 1. The TR16308 Mark 1 is an absolutely stunning airsoft gun. It looks amazing, it looks beautiful, it feels great in the hands as well. You're going to be using this sort of billet receiver. Kind of reminds me of an AR-10, but just with a much shorter barrel. It's essentially an M4 that's in 308, which is kind of nice actually. You are getting full metal construction throughout. Nice solid rail system on here. I love the M-Lock, monolithic top rail, as well as to put whatever sort of optics of your choosing. You are going to be getting these proprietary G&G 308 style magazines, but they feed actually very, very well. Ergonomic pistol grip on here, some enlarged controls on here, and a very, very nice stock from G&G. You can actually buy this separately because this offers plenty of battery space. So all in all, very well built. Let's talk about the internals now. Now, this is going to be using a version 2 gearbox on a 308, which for a lot of you guys that don't know is actually a pretty big deal. A lot of SR25 and other 308 platforms are going to be using a slightly elongated gearbox, a little bit different, a little bit its own design, but thankfully this one is not going to be using that, so awesome. There's no laughing matter either. This gearbox is actually the G2 gearbox. It's one of G&G's top-of-line gearboxes they offer in a lot of their premium models. It's going to come included with a pre-installed ECU, which can be programmed to do 3-round or 5-round burst fires, so you choose to do so. It also is going to have a magazine cutoff, so as soon as your magazine is out of rounds, or if you don't have a magazine insert into the rifle, you're not going to be able to go ahead and shoot. So don't contact G&G to tell them that there's a problem. Just read the manual. And again, you are getting a rotary-style hop chamber as well. The fact that the G&G TR16 comes included with a version 2 gearbox is actually a really, really good thing. In case you wanted to go ahead and upgrade this bad boy further, not that you really needed to, but in case you did, you were going to have a plethora of aftermarket parts readily available for you. The trade-off, though, is going to be its magazine. It's not using compatible magazines that exist already out there. The only mags that are going to work for this are going to be, like I mentioned, its own magazine from G&G that provides you, and the officially licensed Knights Armament SR25 mags from G&G as well. Those are the only two that will work. Again, that was that trade-off for having that version 2 compatibility in there. But honestly, the magazines, they're not really that bad. They actually feed very, very well, and you can buy them separately as well. My other gripe with this gun has got to be the inner barrel itself. It's not a great inner barrel. It gets the job done, but honestly, I'd recommend swapping that for a unicorn set. The bucking, though, you don't really have to change out. It's a G&G green bucking, so it should work just fine. Out-of-the-box performance from the G&G TR1630308 is going to be pretty dang good. Probably one of the best options you can get for a battle rifle right from the get-go, even without any sort of upgrades. So with upgrades, this thing can be an absolute nightmare. It's already snappy as is on the trigger. It lends itself very well to the battle rifle role that you can use it a little bit more aggressively, which is always good to know. But let's talk about the price point. Right now, the 308 that I have in front of me is going to be retailing at airsoftgi.com for $495. But again, make sure to take advantage of the Wombo Com for the best savings possible. $495. Well, I shouldn't be surprised. You know what they say about G&G full metal guns, right? You're gonna spend an arm and a leg for sure, minimum 400 and above. But honestly, considering the performance you are getting from this battle rifle, honestly, it is worth it. You are getting a few extra bells and whistles right from the get-go, and it's a very clean and stylish platform to rock with. You might be asking yourself, is $495 worth it? Well, let me ask you another question. Are you worth it?
Well, I know you're not.
Aw.
I mean, I'm not either.
Okay. The final battle rifle on my list is going to be one of the earliest battle rifles ever, birthed at the height of the Cold War. It's going to be the classic Army G3 SG1. Well, definitely not the very first battle rifle. The G3 platform has been around for a long time. It's one of the earliest iterations of what we call a modern-day battle rifle. And look at this thing. It's an absolute vibe. This is the one that we all fell in love with collectively. You couldn't go anywhere without finding G3 somewhere, right? Airsoft GI, any airsoft retailer, or heck, even Walmart, Big 5 Sports Chalet, Dick's Sporting Goods. They just were everywhere. And honestly, I don't blame them. These things are an absolute beast. I love the way this thing looks. It's a classic through and through. The Classic Army G3 SG1 sports a full metal receiver group and barrel assembly, in addition to a polymer handguard, pistol grip, and stock. The unique features of the SG1 are going to be the integrated bipod, which can be tucked away and deployed very easily, and this nice little cheek rest on here, just to get a little more comfortable cheek rest. Honestly, this is probably my favorite version of the G3 platforms. It's not as bare bones as some of the other G3s in existence out there, and because of the way it's set up, especially with the bipod, honestly, this can lend itself very well as well to a DMR role. We're not here to talk about DMRs, we're talking about battle rifles. Out of the box, the Classic Army G3 SG1 comes with traditional fixed iron sights, which honestly, they're perfectly serviceable sights. They work very, very well. Probably one of the better iron sights on the market. However, for all of my guys out there that want to run an optic, this is going to be compatible with a traditional HK claw mount, which will clamp right onto the upper receiver. You'll be able to put whatever sort of optic you want on there. However, I'm going to strongly encourage you, especially if you're going with the SG1, just to capture that classic clean vibe. Just leave it stock. You don't need any optic on here.
You're gonna want an optic on that.
No, you don't need an optic.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't.
Uh-huh.
No, you don't.
Uh-huh.
No.
Uh-huh.
No. Internally, in traditional G3 fashion, this is going to be using a standard version 2 gearbox. And again, it is going to be Classic Army OEM'd, so you know it's going to be a solid gearbox. Now, because it's version 2, you already know what that means. You'll love to see it. That means aftermarket support up the wazoo. You can do whatever it is that you want to this bad boy. In my personal recommendation, I would say swap out the spring so you get a higher FPS, tune that compression up, maybe go ahead and swap in a unicorn barrel setup, and you are off to the races. This thing is going to be an absolute nightmare to contend with. I don't really have any sort of gripes with the G3 considering how simple it actually is, but two really cool things I do like about the G3 is one, magazines. There are still plenty of magazine options readily available for you to go and pick up for your G3 platform. And number two, this is actually one of the earliest airsoft guns to actually feature a rotor cell hop chamber, which is cool. Respect your elders. Right now, the Classic Army G3 SG1 retails on Airsoft GI's website for $290. And make sure to take advantage of the Wombo combo for the best savings possible. Now, at $290, this is going to be a very cost-effective option, right? It's a very easy and cost-effective way into getting into the battle rifle game, right? The only things I would say would maybe be pick up a unicorn barrel setup, maybe a spring, of course, some additional magazines, and that's pretty much about it. This is a very cost-efficient way to become a battle rifle enjoyer. That's not to say that you can't trick this out to your heart's content. Absolutely you can. You can trick this out with whatever, accessories, optics, whatever you want internally as well. But honestly, sometimes simpler is better. Guys, thank you so much for listening to my schizophrenic ranting about airsoft battle rifles. It is unfortunate to see that these platforms are not as popular as they used to be. Right, so it's important that you do your part and bully your favorite airsoft brands and companies, whether it be through email, DMs on social media platforms. Let them know that you want to have a continuous stream of niche guns like these and have aftermarket parts come out for them to continue keeping the platforms alive, right? If you want to go ahead and see this, you have to make sure that you go ahead and buy these as well, because again, airsoft companies are only going to manufacture what it is that you're buying. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to show your support for Airsoft GI, make sure to get all your airsoft goodies from airsoftgi.com or the custom showroom in the lounge. Make sure to go ahead and hit that bell icon. Make sure you're subscribed as well so you're notified every time we drop amazing content. Guys, YouTube right now really likes to suck our content, so any and all support is greatly appreciated. My name is Isaias. Guys, have a good one.